Greetings, dear ones. I'm Cryon of Magnetic Service. There are those who would continue to say, why is Cryon here? There has to be a reason. There is. The reason is because Spirit, that which is you call the Creator, that which is responsible for your soul, loves you dearly. And so there are messengers that have been sent for eons at times of change on this planet. Especially in times where humanity was involved and needed to know what was going to happen, or perhaps have an alert so that they would not be shocked or surprised or worried. Scripture is filled with this, angels who appear. And in that which they appear, they always say to the humans, don't fear me. Don't fear the message, for I'm here with good news. This epitomizes the love that God has for you, for the souls that you exist in. Apart from anything you've been taught or told, there is grand, grand love for you. Beautiful love. You have elected by choice to be born in a time of change. And this is massive change. It's change on all scales of almost every subject that you can think of. The indigenous will tell you very clearly about the cycles of life, about the cycles of earth, about the cycles of time, about the cycles of consciousness. They are aware and have always been aware that things happen in cycles. But when those cycles are done and others then begin, there is change. And the change is almost always upsetting to a human being. Depending upon how you see your life is how humans view change. There are some who will see change and say, well, it's about time. I love those things which are happening because it means I have an opportunity here to change things that need changing in my life, and on they go. But that's only a few, really. Mostly those are old souls who have come prepared for the change. But there are many old souls who say they've come prepared for the change, but they are a product of programming. And the programming says that change means trouble. The ones that especially are affected are the ones that see change and pull it to themselves. They'll see something that has happened and they'll say, then why is it happening? I must have done something wrong. Even those who see that which is the weather cycle, which we have talked about now for decades. The change is upon you. We said it was coming, now it's here. So you had forewarning of a cycle. There are cycles within cycles, many cycles. When it comes to Gaia, the weather, and all these things, you knew it was coming. And that there are those who are assembling and praying to God, asking God, saying, what have we done wrong to create such a thing? Never understanding that such a thing is normal. Change is upon this planet in so many ways. The energy of the consciousness around you is starting to change. We have spoken, again, about the weather. It's so interesting now how even historians are starting to change their minds on some of the mysteries of the past. One of them, not really that far away from here, In what you call Bandelier National Monument, there's a place called Chaco Canyon. And in that place, for 400 years, lived an ancient people, which are called the Anasazi ancient people. And when you go there, there has always been a mystery. That for 400 years they lived a certain way in an area that had actually been occupied by them for perhaps 10,000 years. And yet suddenly they left. They didn't simply pack up and go. They didn't even pack up. There's many, many stories, even about some of the kivas still being filled, about something that happened that almost overnight would cause them to leave. A big mystery. There have been all manner of conjecture of what that would be, and now I tell you what historians are starting to figure out. There were signs of massive drought. The water was going away. The streams were going away. There was no rain for 3 years. Dear ones, this was a cycle change in weather. They had not seen it before, like you have not seen it before. In their civilization of the 400 years, they had never seen this. Perhaps it was a 1,500-year cycle. They would never have known. And the reason they left, they had to. They can't even carry food if they don't have the strength of having to hydrate themselves. And so there was that which the chief, if you want to call it that, the one in charge, the shamans all said, it's over, we're leaving. And they did. A classic story of a cycle that surprised them. A cycle that they really should have known was coming, but didn't believe it, even though the seers and the readers had told them. It was in the field. One of the reasons it was so sudden is because of the stubbornness of their government, if you even want to call it that, of their council, who said, we do not believe this is coming. For 400 years, we've never had this. Therefore, it won't be there. This is the same with the energy shift, even for those who are esoterically minded right now. The energy is shifting in the way people react, in the way you think, what you do, and the energy, even of thought, is starting to change for you. Healers feel it. We have spoken of it. New things are occurring that will change the way you do wonderful things. When I said healers feel it, we have spoken of this before. When many of the old processes that worked forever don't work. And the healer takes it to themselves and say, what am I doing wrong? They'll even think they're being punished because that's the programming of the day. When you have a program that says you don't belong here and that you're born dirty, that means that everything you do is being judged. Therefore, if something goes wrong, you caused it. That's programming, and that is not the truth. Why is Kryon here? To tell you in your magnificence to relax with these changes that are occurring, but be aware of what they are, because some of you are building walls. Wall building seems to be a pastime, and you don't even know it. You don't realize the amazing changes of what you do that create certain kinds of things that never did before. Psychologists will tell you that if something happens or you're worried, or it's a life worry, let's say, or there's something ongoing all the time, or perhaps it's fresh, that something has happened, that when you carry these wounds or these worries, and if you will simply talk them out and talk to others and talk to this, that eventually you'll talk them away. Or perhaps Others will help you and justify and whatever. That is the psychology of the day. You get help. Now I'm here to tell you something. Whatever it is that bothers you right now, that you have carried for more than a month or two, as long as you verbalize it, you're building a wall brick by brick that's going to keep you right there. Because that is the energy of consciousness. The more you discuss a negative thing, such as worry, consternation, wringing your hands, or being wounded because of unjust things that happened, and you want to tell everybody you know every time you meet them. Hi, my name is. Did you know what happened to me? You're building a wall, and that wall gets then cemented, and then the cement dries, and you're never going to get through it. And the things you're worried about, you'll always be worried about. The energy is new. And so what it says is to take those things and imagine that instead of perpetuating them to everyone you know in hopes that you will be able to dissipate them, as many say you can, I want you to ask an indigenous what they did. Master psychologists, they were. They had ceremony for worry. And whatever it was you were worried, you might want to wrap it in a leaf or something that was Gaia and then burn it. Somehow dispose of it, because the energy was this. Gaia, as your helper, had the wisdom of the ancestors and would see these things eliminated, going up in smoke. You had released them, and you're on to other things. Now, the things you worry about may still be in the ethers in the field, but the fact you're not building a wall anymore means you zip through it. You see this? And you step ahead. I want you to examine your lives for a minute. How many of you are here, and for years you've been worried about the same thing? Your wall is big. It's not too big, dear ones, because consciousness is energy and can blast through that so easy, as long as you understand, oh, that's me. Oh, that's me. The biggest issue that you might have, again, as a habit, is how do I drop the worry? I'll tell you, this is where the maturity starts to come in from everything you've learned, where you can rest yourself in the hands of Spirit and know you're taken care of. And you don't have to do this yourself. And you don't have to share things that bother you on and on to everyone you meet. You can dissolve these things and actually get resolution if you stop talking about them. That is a new energy. And that is the way it's starting to work, dear ones. That's a challenge to some. That's why I'm here. Spirit loves you so much that it wants to tell you the pitfalls of habits, programming, so you'll know what they are. Many of them subconscious. Nothing wrong with you. You've done this. This is the way you were trained by you, your parents, your culture. This is the way it worked. But it doesn't now. Let those who look at you see joy, not problem. When you talk to them, talk about them about joy, not problems. This is the new energy. This is the change. This is the cycle before you. I speak to an assembly of old souls. Truly, most of you, the only reason you would be in the chair on this day is because you're interested in these things, which are esoteric. Where others may be having picnics in this day, you're in a chair. You're listening. And that is because there is equipment. There is a mechanism, you might say, that is waiting to be activated or triggered within you. And it doesn't come with words. It comes with self-realization. That as you experience the energies of these 2 days, or the 3, the one tomorrow, as you experience these, that there is a mechanism that will actually poke, if you wish, poke that which is your intuitive self. And you may have what is being called almost déjà vu. I've been here before. And in some ways that is so. That I've been here before actually touches that which is your soul, saying, yes, you have. Because what you have experienced these days is core truth. Some part of it says hello. And it's a part that you have asked for the hello that starts to integrate into your reality in a way that is practical. These things which are spiritual are not all that heady. What I mean by that, they have got to be something that you carry every single day. Something that you can use every day. And in that there is promise. There is not only promise for you, but as you change your consciousness and remember, something else happens. I'll tell you, there's chemistry in your body which you can change beyond that which you've been told by those who are supposed to know all about your body. If you get a number of surgeons together privately and you say, what is your opinion, ma'am, sir, of spontaneous remission, because you all seen it. What's your opinion? And collectively, they will tell you they don't know. Because it flies in the face, as they say, of everything they've been taught. There is no chemical reaction that they know of that will put the body into a coherent state where it'll heal itself quickly. It simply is not something that they know about. But I'll tell you, it exists. So let's study that which they don't know about, but that exists, that they have seen over and over. And if you then wish to study it, there must be a mechanism that heals, that's more than chemical. And that, dear ones, is the energy of consciousness. It has been underrated. Consciousness, we have said before, is almost like homeopathy. It sends a signal to every cell to do things in your body. That's just the beginning of what is there that can be triggered for you. Oh, what about the activation of the ability to be loved? You are in a culture that doesn't teach that. I'll tell you, there are barriers up against being loved. The main one, the barrier of loving yourself. It's there. Because your culture doesn't see that as something valuable. In fact, it will caution you not to go there because you will seem to be arrogant if you love yourself. They don't know what love is to say that. Love balances you. Love is such a beautiful and pure energy of balance. It has intelligence to balance. It is kind. It doesn't create arrogance. If you can love yourself, the chemistry of your body starts to balance. What ages you? What does medical science say ages you? Did you know you had a body clock that ticks and almost then demands that chemistry follow the protocol, follow the bias of the ticking body clock? What if you stop ticking for a while? Not your heart. What if you could tell your body clock to change what it thinks time is? If that were possible, you'd live longer. Consciousness can do that. You learned a lot this day about working with that which is your corporeal self, and the balanced breathing, and all that which is the signaling of tapping, all of those things, including the creation of coherence and heart rate variability measurements, all of that is designed to send a signal to that corporeal self which you have, which we call innate, to slow the body clock, to live longer. And there's so much more. Are you ready for that activation that you have been waiting for at some level? Did you know that there is programming to keep you from there? That programming is not a conspiratorial program. It is simply cultural. You come in, and these things are not taught to you. And so by the time you get to a place where you can be activated, where you can have a trigger of remembrance, there still will be resistance. You have free will. But if you didn't, just for a moment, just for a flash of the moment, if you didn't, I'll tell you what God would do. If you didn't, He would drop every barrier you had and surround you with the arms of pure compassion, kindness, benevolence, and squeeze you till every cell had love pouring out of it. All the barriers would come down, and you would know the truth. But you do have free choice. And that free choice, part of it being even the duality, lets you choose to be loved or not. Dear ones, here's the plea as I close. What are you afraid of? If the Creator wants to love you, what are you afraid of? What is it that keeps you from letting those barriers drop so hard that you can feel, metaphorically, the arms of Spirit around you? Being loved to such a degree that you just want to walk out of the room and love everyone and everything you see. No matter what they are, who they are. That is the purity and the benevolence that is in your soul. And that is what you strive for, old soul, whether you know it or not. I've taken you back to the wind of birth, and I will tell you this, that you knew the potential that this was coming when you were born. And it doesn't matter how old or young you are here. It doesn't matter, because what happens when that gets triggered is that when you come back, dear ones, it stays triggered. You don't start over. That is this new age, where enlightenment sticks, where learning of core truth sticks, and when you come in again, you continue where you left off. I want to talk about your soul again, the magnificence of that which is the soul. Now, I didn't say the human soul, for that is another subject. And we have spoken of that which is the human soul It's the same soul, but that categorizes it as a place, a thing that is filled with that which belongs to the human, and it is. And that is your akash and all the other things that belong in your soul. I want to talk about the soul, that which you have. Don't you find it interesting, before we even begin, that humanity, almost all of it, almost 90% of it, believes innately in the Creator. And that would include something loosely called the soul. That you come in with it on the planet, that it stays with you while you're here, and then when you leave, it becomes something else, but it's still you. At some level, some way, your soul continues, even after death. It's not an odd belief system at all, and it's shared by most belief systems. You go someplace, you're not done, and that is only accomplished by your soul. So right away, the soul is something that is seen, believed in, acknowledged, not really understood. Depending upon who you speak to, in many spiritual systems, they will have different stories about the soul. The soul is the engine of that which you have called the return, reincarnation, going to another expression using the same soul. You might think because there is a soul, that would be intuitive. That's what it's for here on this planet. And yet, because of the linearity of the way human beings think, they say, oh, no. The soul was there somehow, and you got it as a human, and you use it, and then you leave, and the soul then has a choice whether it goes to heaven or hell. And that's the end. And so it becomes a children's story, a mythology that you're so good at, where you create something in a linear fashion. There's a journey in the linear fashion, and then whatever happens, you're judged for it. How linear are you? That is the children's story of the soul. Those who understand more about that which is the evolution of spiritual thought and sense it clearer are the ones who realize it returns. That is the terminology we use of old soul, those who have been on the planet over and over. And these last hundreds of thousands of years, lifetime after lifetime, like a school, you learn. There are things which are placed within you, which can only be placed in one area, and that is your soul. And even as the mechanics of coming and going are not fully understood, or soul sharing is not fully understandable, the main soul is what we're speaking of. It's a depository while you're here of experience. I said something recently that I even will review now, is that the soul is also responsible while you're on earth for the things you like to do. Over a period of time or lifetimes, you may gravitate toward certain things that you enjoy as a human. We've told you before that the whole process of reincarnation is designed to be comfortable. And that is why you stay a certain gender for so long. It's designed to be comfortable. Beyond that, what you're interested in and go for in one life. Perhaps it's music or art. Perhaps it's even that which would be something some feel is inappropriate. Perhaps it's military. But whatever it is, when you return, that stays. Did you know that? It starts to explain while you awaken as a child. And you'll be interested in something that your parents are not and never were. And they'll say, is this really a child of mine? Look what she wants to do. This is a telling paradigm, is it not? That the soul carries this. And we said it before, and artists become artists. Musicians become musicians. And firemen become firemen, and military people become military people. Even shows that the many women who decide to go in the military are echoing that which they discovered when they were another gender. It is the same with men who remember something softer as another gender and go into that area. Because the soul remains the same regardless of the gender. This is for your comfort. And you can see it so much, especially in the artists of the world. Oh, but let me get back to this soul of yours. Where did it come from? How old is it? Both of those questions, dear ones, are linear and cannot be answered in a linear fashion. How old is God, you might ask? And you know that is not answerable. You don't want to think this way because you're designed in your brain, in your synapse, for linear thinking. Everything has to have a beginning and an end in your thinking, everything. The universe, God, all things, and yet it doesn't. The idea of something that always was bothers that which is your logic. And yet this is God. Always was. It's an overused metaphor, but the purity of a golden ring sits before you, and the question is, where does it start and where does it end? And the answer is, it doesn't, because it's a circle. This is the easiest way for you to see the existence of God. When were souls created? And the answer is, they were never created. They were always there. There is something you will not understand, never. Before your universe existed, there were other multiverses. This Big Bang of yours was simply an extension of another universe, which closed and yours opened. Cycles. It's all about cycles. How old is God? It's as old as your soul. Your soul is part of that which is the creative source. How many are there? Yes. How many of God are there? There is no answer to that. It is not answerable in your kind of thinking. And dear ones, that makes it so much better. That means that your soul, that which belongs to you today, has another lineage, one that you haven't been shown. Can you imagine watching this universe start? You were there. That's you with your name. You can call it that name, that human name, anything. But your soul has an identity, not a name. And that which is God knows that which is itself. That which is God knows that which is itself, which is you, the soul that is yours. Always been here. If it's true, as the proposition has been put forward, if it's true that there are trillions and trillions of souls involved just in your galaxy, living on other planets, places that life can evolve that would have souls. Not all does. But if it was true, what is that lineage? And are you part of that? And the answer is yes. We have said before, the galaxy teeming with life. And yet, for some reason, it has taken you so long to consider that in a real sense. In a real sense, meaning a mainstream sense that says, Is there a life out there like yours? Isn't it odd that if you asked that question 30 years ago, they'd shut the door in your face? Do you know how illogical that is? And yet that is the human bias, is it not? A linear bias that says you are alone. Imagine for a moment you are on a desert island, surviving day by day with the rain that's there and the food that's limited and the fish. And that you're alone and you're pondering things. And the island is small. You can almost see all the way around it, one continuous beach. And you've walked it many times, around and around and around. And imagine for a moment, as the human in an older energy, you sit down and ponder life itself, the stars, and you ask the question, are there other beaches on earth? And the conclusion you come to is no, because I cannot see them. That is the logic that says there's no other life. They're placed too far away on purpose for you to interact with. And yet the same stuff that made you is the same stuff that has made all objects in this galaxy. The same table of elements is there. The same life is there. The same physics is there that made you, and yet you often say, we're alone. The truth is that that soul of yours has participated all through this galaxy for more than 1 billion years, coming and going and being and doing. Is that magnificent enough for you? That's who you are. And so the children's story, in linear fashion, in a metaphor, will have you born dirty because of something that happened. It was not correct 200,000 years ago by one human being that then tainted somehow the majesty of a soul that's forever. And you know that's a children's story. And that's not you. That is not you. Born magnificent more than you think over all of the eons of time. Cryon, does that mean that I was also alive, perhaps corporally, before using this soul? And the answer is yes, 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 and yes. Could it have been in other universes? Yes, yes, and yes. Old soul, what if some of this wisdom, intuition, paradigm shift started to occur to you in these next years? What if that's what brings you to listen to this channel? An awakening to greater things that you cannot conceive of. And you don't know what they are. You just start feeling them. You know you're older, even than the planet. You know you're wiser. And these things are like an intuition that fleets by. You know it, but you can't put your finger on it, as they say. You can't really identify it, as they say. But as you sit there, you know you have the wisdom of the ages. You do. When I continue tonight, I want to tell you more. I want to tell you how the soul starts to relate to everything around you while you're here. Now it becomes the human soul. Now that you've gotten to this place and you start to awaken and there is evolvement going on, what happens next? What do you start remembering? And what are you connected to that you don't know? These are the things that you're ready to know and learn and feel. And some will leave this place or turn off this recording and say, well, that was interesting. I didn't understand any of it. Seeds are planted where someday you'll have an awakening, an aha, and say, now I do. That is the evolvement of consciousness. And that is what is going on for those who are here and those who choose to listen to these words. Now, in that, There is now controversy and dissension about what that is. Believe it or not, there are those who say it is untouchable. It is too sacred for you to have. The fact that you have it at all would be a mystery to those who would say that. For if it's untouchable, why would you have it? And that then begs the next question. What's it for? Dear ones, the soul is here for you to ally with. This is part of the plan. That plan that puts you here in a corporeal body gives you duality and asks you to find the core truths of life. And you have. So many have. Interestingly enough, those who you would call the indigenous before modern times had most of those core truths. And through time and a de-evolvement yet again, you've lost them. Now it is time for you to regain them, except now there are billions on the planet involved. And now starts a kind of a civilization you've never had before, where the entire planet in what you call mainstream is invited to participate. And the participation is in that with an alliance with the soul. Now that alliance, we're going to give another name, and you've heard it before, and that is conscious evolvement. You're going to start evolving, and in that evolvement, the things that you're going to see, the words that are going to come to your mind that would define it, would be more integrity, transparency, kindness, benevolence, compassion. That these would then begin to get far, far higher ratings than jealousy, hate, anger. And that'll be a first. If you have looked at sociology, and if you've studied that which is human consciousness, you will see that the things that are seemingly most important all through humanity, the things that get the most attention, is the drama, is the hatred, is the jealousy. And those things then lead to actions that will challenge duality to the max. And that is when lives are taken. Over and over for eons and eons, these are the emotions and the attributes that have won. They're the ones above all the others. And suddenly I am telling you that new assignments of importance for humanity are coming from the words that I used before. And there are those who will laugh and say, good luck with that, Cryon. Because they still see a planet in trouble. They still see a planet that is consumed with the competition, the hatred, the problems, the fighting, all of those things. Dear ones, you have a planet that is starting to move and to change. You're starting to see it in your societies with the certain movements that are there, with the things that are starting to be seen that have always been there, but suddenly they're not appropriate anymore. You're seeing things that may have been there forever, that you perhaps assumed would always be there, and there's nothing you could do about them. And suddenly there is something you can do about them, and you're starting to seemingly clean it up. This is the evolvement of human consciousness. Slow, starts with first world countries, and then spreads out because consciousness is worldwide. And the evolvement of it is you starting to get closer to that which is your soul. You are the ones who separated yourself initially from that which is the soul. We talked about it earlier this morning. That soul of yours comes from that place of the Creator, and you called God. That soul of yours is not separate from the Creator, from God. It isn't. We made some statements and have all along that God sees you as itself. God has put you corporeally surrounded by this multidimensional energy called a soul. Some of you have started to understand and hook up something we have talked about before. Hook up meaning you have put it together, connected the dots. When I told you about Elijah, the only human being in human history to ever have his ascension recorded. Recorded, that is, written down, observed, written about. Something that became even Scripture. When Elisha documented Elijah's ascension, you got to see his soul. First time. Elijah, we have told you so many times, walked into the field and turned into light. A huge ball of energy, so different looking, so bright that even Elijah could not describe it. He gave it a metaphoric idea of a chariot being drawn by 3 white horses. All of those things mean other things, dear ones. They're all metaphors of spirituality. You got to see Elijah claim his soul and move off of earth. That's what happened. This is present in every single human being, every single one. I want to show and tell a little bit about what happens to this soul of yours when a corporeal body becomes part of it. The indigenous knew the first thing that happens is that that body of yours, that corporeal consciousness of yours, starts to interface with the grids of the planet. These grids we have spoken of ever since we arrived. All of them. There are so many kinds of grids because there are so many gifts for humanity. The crystalline grid, which remembers things for you. The ancestral grid, which is the wisdom grid of the planet, which lays there ready for you to take from it. The magnetic grid, which helps to posture that which is the energy of consciousness. That is measurable. It is physics. Of all of the grids, that is the one that you are so much aware of, that my partner has taught and told you about. There's the Gaia grid. So let's talk about that one. All of these grids exist for humans. They don't exist for any other reason. What does that tell you about the honoring and the respect for humanity from God? Duality has always been with you, and we've given you several channels recently about that. It's not a struggle, it's a gift. It's a gift for you to soar above that which you thought was the highest of high, in order to take you on a journey, if you wish, of evolvement, so you can start to touch the face of your soul, which you have called your higher self. That word, higher self, has many other words in many other languages, even in some spiritual systems. An acknowledgement that you, as you sit in the chair, as you listen to this, might have some part of you which knows everything, which has all the answers that you could ever ask. Some of them you don't even know how to ask. They're beyond the ability to think about because they're not in your paradigm. All is known by that higher self. There is a connection when you get here between that which is your corporeal self, your higher self, and an entity called Gaia. The planet lives. It's alive. In so many ways, you might say the planet has a soul of its own, a kind of soul. It is alive in the fact that it lives and breathes to support you. First thing, we gave you information, is that everything that's ever happened goes right into the planet, into the various grids that we have spoken of, especially the ancestral and the crystalline, that you have actually imbued the knowledge of your lifetimes on the planet. And when you leave, dear ones, and come back, that lifetime you lived stays here in a certain way. It stays here. It stays here not in a spooky way. It stays here as wisdom of being here. What did you learn? What happened while you were here? What emotions were most important? All into that which is the crystalline and ancestral grid. Some of the indigenous on the planet have a ceremony. And we've told you about this, and it tells everything. And it goes like this. They'll go to a place that's beautiful, that's serene, where they can feel the sun on them. And they stoop down and they pick up a little bit of dirt and they put it upon their mouth and they taste it. And in that moment they will tell you this, that all of the wisdom of their ancestors is theirs. Because the dirt of the earth is Gaia. And although it might seem metaphoric, I'll tell you that it isn't. That is core truth. That is one of the ways you get in touch with even that which is your past existence, which is in this crystalline and ancestral grid, dear ones. It interfaces with the Gaia grid, all of them together. Are you? Now I'm asking you, where is that in the spiritual systems of today? It's gone. That's devolvement, dear ones, of consciousness. At what point in time did you decide to throw away the most important connection you could ever have? That's starting to reoccur. More and more of those who are starting to understand the connection with their soul are coming to that acknowledgement of being connected with the dirt. Perhaps not as profoundly as the indigenous, for that's all they had, but profound enough. The understanding of it is all you need to start connecting with something that was designed to help you every day of your life. Imagine being in touch with ancestral wisdom. Imagine being in touch at some level with yourself. How many lifetimes have you lived? At some level, that Akash of yours is shared with Gaia. It's all there. An evolvement of consciousness is a humanity that starts to return to indigenous core truth and understand that. For when you start connecting with the planet through your higher self and your soul, there will be no more war. For you will see the dysfunction of all of it. No spiritual belief system on this planet of billions of people have even one chapter that has anything to do with that. This is the change that we tell you is starting to occur. Not that those spiritual systems will include it, but there's going to be intuition that will. Even those who will claim to be a certain thing in a spiritual system will cling to the idea soon that the planet has to be involved in their existence. And even though it may not be a platform of belief, it will be theirs. You can be both if you wish. You can be a good whatever and still love the earth and still hug a tree and feel that energy flow through you. It does not fly in the face of any doctrine. It does not say that you're wrong. It doesn't say that you've done something inappropriate. That is coming. And when it does, I'll tell you that there starts to be an increase in all those words I gave you, reviewing the words I gave you. Transparency, integrity, love, benevolence, compassion. These are going to start becoming the new words of how to live because of the connection you have with your higher self and the earth. There are many things going on right now on the planet that are esoteric, that are starting to push information to you. We've talked about the nodes and the nulls. We've given you many channelings, one in particular, while in a place called Peru. Go find out and go listen to what has happened, because they're all matched up, and it is a system, a push and pull energy that literally scrubs away things that are inappropriate and dark, starting to expose them in a way that light will then win over darkness. That is what is slowly happening. But that's not all. There has got to be a decision, a real life decision, for you to start looking at the planet differently. Perhaps going out into the field, perhaps even putting a little dirt on your mouth. The idea, the metaphor, that you are connecting with not only yourself and the wisdom of you, but all of those ancestors who have so much to give you. That's the cycle that is coming. It is a cycle of remembrance and teaching, of realization that you're going to have. That's the next step. Oh, there are other steps, dear ones. But that's the first, returning to a connection with this planet. Before I close, I'll tell you, there's a lot more of these channelings about your soul. And I'll give them as things occur on the planet as reminders. When countries start moving together instead of apart, it's starting to happen in certain countries. That is the recognition of those things I told you, which suddenly are more important than separation. An understanding of togetherness, of kindness, where there never was before. Watch for these things, and you'll know I'm right. Oh, but there's a big one. I'm going to close with this. How many souls are there? And the answer, again, is yes. Uncountable. You only have a few on this planet. They're all over. They're all over this galaxy, all over this universe, although we stick to this galaxy because it's unique in the chemistry, the physics, and the rules. You're apt to find those like you here in this galaxy. And so we stick with that, trillions of you. And what did we tell you the soul really was? It's not apart from God, is it? Not really. That soul, you might say, is an extension, a piece. You don't understand how this can be because you don't understand the essence of God. Pure love, pure benevolence. That's what God is. If that is God, that is a God that cannot hate, a God that cannot then torture or judge. Think about that. But think of this. If there are trillions upon trillions of souls in this galaxy, in places that you don't even know of, many of whom are corporeal, if that's the case, Why don't you sense each other? You came from the same source. Now that is another story. Those who have gone into that which is graduate status, who truly have captured the essence of their higher self on other places and other planets and other systems, who have become then very high consciousness, have gone into the ability to move out of a corporeal body. Those who some of you even might mistake as angels because you don't know any better. They exist. They'll be the first ones to tell you that you have no idea what's ahead. That some of these things will go way beyond duality. You will always have duality. Free choice is yours. But there's so much more than you know that is not just going on here, but that has potentials in the field that I'm telling you that is there to sense. So I'll say it again. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You have just begun. 2012 just happened. But already you start to see the results. What's really, truly, physically happening, you are becoming closer and closer to that which belongs to you and always has. The splendor and beauty of your own soul, your higher self. And that's special. Born magnificent for this reason. And so it is.
In a world of green, just like a dream, you and I standing wild and free, with petals so golden, the sun's warm kiss, a love so strong, a bliss. Whispers of the breeze, secrets unfold. It's you that I need, it's you that I want. When the world gets cold,